Hi everyone. In this lecture, let's continue with designing our app using the storyboard. In the previous lectures, we used auto layout to make the login and sign up views display as we expected. So let's move on to another scene. This is our design. After users logged in, they will be brought to the home view. The home icon on this tab corresponds to the home view. This home icon is highlighted on the home scene. Here's other 4 icons for other 4 main scenes, including search view, which is here, camera, activity, and profile. All right? You might notice that this is a tab bar type of template. There is a class in iOS specifically used for this purpose. It's called UI tab bar controller. Using this UI element, we can easily build a tab bar interface like this, with a tab bar view holding the icons for navigating different views. A tab bar structure like this is useful when we want to organize the app functionally, with each view corresponding to an independent function. At a high level, a UI tab bar controller kind of manages an array of view controllers. In this case, we have such 5 view controllers. These view controllers are not necessarily related, and we navigate between them using the tab bar, through the tab bar icons to be precise. Now let's go back to the storyboard to add a UI tab bar controller. To do so, as usual, let's go to the object library to search for this element. Type tab. Okay, here it is. Here's a little handy tip. You can click on this item to read a brief description about it. As we mentioned before, this tab bar controller manages a set of view controllers. It's great for independent view controllers, or tasks as in our app. And we navigate between them using the tab bar view at the bottom of the scene. Okay, good. Now, let's drag it into the storyboard. You can then see a tab bar view with 2 controllers it manages. You might see some blue boxes at the bottom of the view controllers. It's probably a bug in Xcode 8.1, which we're using. This is easy to fix. Actually, they will disappear when we put the icons into the tab bar view. Now, back to our tab bar controller. By default, there are 2 view controllers that this tab bar controller manages. Indeed, if you click on one of them and go to its identity inspector, you'll see a placeholder text UI view controller in the class box. So these 2 UI elements are indeed UI view controllers. That little tip will come in very handy. Now, before moving on, we'll add some tab bar icons later on. So let's import these icons into our project, as we did for the default profile photo. We first select the assets file in the project navigator area, then drag our icons or icon folder into this place. If we do it right, these icons will show up nicely in the editor area. If you notice, each icon has 3 versions with different sizes. The purpose is to make sure they will display nicely on various screen sizes. For example, 1 times is good for iPhone screens without Retina, 2 times is good for Retina iPhone screens, and 3 times is for large screen iPhones like iPhone 6 Plus or iPhone 7 Plus. Okay, good. Now let's go back to our tab bar controller in the storyboard. Consider the first view controller. Let's say this is our home view controller. We'll first customize the home tab bar item. Let's select the item 1 of item 1 scene, then select item 1 in there. It will be highlighted on the storyboard. If you check its identity inspector, it's an UI tab bar item. In its attribute inspector, we'll customize it by displaying a home icon. So in the image attribute, type the name of the home icon file, which is home in our case. Alright, the Xcode bug is gone, which is good. By the way, if things are too small to see, we can zoom in on the storyboard to have a closer look. Alright, good. You can see that the first tab bar item now displays as a home icon. Its title is still item 1 by default though, so let's modify its title to home in its attribute inspector. its title will be changed instantly to whatever we put down. There is no magic here. We've imported this home icon into the assets folder. We simply set the image attribute of the tab bar item 1 to this file. Later, we'll link the home selected icon to tab bar item 1 for its selected mode. Okay, before doing that, let's run our app to see what's going on here. First of all, we currently set the login view the initial ViewController, so that view will be displayed when the app runs. But we haven't known how to switch from login to tab bar view yet. So in the attribute inspector of this tab bar controller, let's set it to the initial ViewController. Notice this arrow currently pointing to the login ViewController. It points to the initial ViewController. You can also drag this arrow around to set the initial ViewController. This is another handy tip that makes our life much easier. Alright, great. So let's drag it to the tab bar controller so that this tab bar view will show up first when we run the app. Alright. Okay, here it is. We have only 2 tab bar items so far, which is home and item 2 below. They're the 2 items on the tab bar view at the bottom. You can see one of them is active right now, and you can switch to the other by clicking that one. The screen is blank right now because we haven't done anything yet. But you should try guessing what will happen each time you touch a tab bar item. We'll then discuss about that later in the lecture. Now, the current look of an active item is not that great for user experience. It's better if, when an item is active, it's more noticeable like these home selected items. Right now, we're using the same unelected home icons for both active and inactive case. To use the home selected icon for the active case, simply go to the attribute selector of the tab bar item. Then assign its selected image property to the home selected icon file. You can then see the immediate effect on the storyboard. Alright, good. Now let's run the app and check it out. By the way, it's a good exercise to do the same thing for the tab bar item 2 by yourself. Alright. Okay, great. The home selected icon now shows up when this item is active, when the other one shows up when the item is inactive. Alright, great. Let's now move on to the next one. Our app will have 5 tab bar items eventually. So let's see. Yeah, right. We can assign the tab bar item to the search view controller. This is sort of a discover feature. It helps users discover photos posted by others. You don't have to follow this order, but anyway, let's make it work. Alright, here's the UI view controller corresponding to the tab bar item 2. Similar to before, we can simply select this bar item, and then, in its attribute inspector, link it to the search icon via the image attribute. Alright, good. The search icon displays nicely here. Its title is item 2 currently, so let's change it to something meaningful. We use discover, but you can name it the way you like. Alright, great. We now need something for the active state of this item. As before, select the tab bar item, and then in its attribute selector, set its selected image attribute to the search selected icon file. The search selected icon we provide is just a bit different than the unselected one. Alright, great. That's it for this item. You can run the app and check it yourself, but we're going to move on now. Alright, we need a few more items for posts, notifications, and user profile. We're going to add all of them at once now. The idea is simply to get some blank UI view controllers from the object library, then add them to the tab bar controller. Okay, now the fourth one. And finally the last one for user profile. Alright, let's zoom out a little bit for a better view. Actually, let's move them up a little bit to make them a bit easier to work with. Alright. You don't have to do so actually, By the way, when you build your own app, it's probably a good idea to connect all of the UI view controllers to the tab bar controller before working on each of them. All right, so now we have these blank UI view controllers, and we need to connect them to the tab bar controller. The first two were already connected, as shown by this arrow. You can also see this relationship here. All right. This arrow indicates a relationship, which is a Segue in this case. You can see what we can do with it in these inspectors. Actually, that's not really important to us right now. Now, to connect a UI view controller to this tab bar controller, select the tab bar controller, hold Control, then drag it to the UI view controller. We then choose the View Controllers option in the Relationship Segue from the pop-up menu. It's now sort of a sub-view controller of the tab bar view controller. Now, as before, let's get some nice icons for the new tab bar item in its attribute selector. We use this tab bar item for camera, so let's set its title to camera and customize it using a camera icon. The icon file name is photo, which is a little confusing, but that's okay. Note that we don't use a camera selected version for this item. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Select the tab bar controller, hold Control, drag to the next one, then choose View Controllers Segue. That sets up the connection. The next step is to customize the tab bar item. In its attribute selector, set its title to something meaningful, like activity. We use the activity icon for this item, which is a heart icon. This is the notifications feature and stuff. This one has a selected version, so it will set its selected image attribute to the actively selected icon. There's only one more. Again, select the tab bar controller, hold Control, drag to the last one, then choose View Controllers Segue. This will be the user profile, so set the title of the tab bar item to profile, and use the profile icon for this item. This item also has a selected version, so set its selected image to the profile selected icon. Alright, fantastic, let's check it out. By the way, once you know exactly what you're doing, we recommend you to connect all the UI view controllers first, run the app, and to make sure everything is fine. Then work on each view controller and the corresponding tab bar item, and then test the app again, before moving on to the next one. Okay, here it is. The 5 tab bar items now display nicely on the tab bar. You can now play around with them, but keep asking if the view also switches. Alright, we can tell you that each time a tab bar item is active, the corresponding UI view controller shows up. And it's pointless if they show nothing as of now. As with login view controller, we need a view controller kind of Swift file to write code for each of these UI view controllers. So choose one of the Swift files in the navigator, hit Command N to create a Cocoa Touch class. Let's say this class is for the home UI view controller, so name it like Home View Controller. By the way, make sure this class is a subclass of the UI view controller class, as we use it to back a storyboard UI view controller. Now, to make this class back one of the storyboard UI view controller, go to the identity inspector of that storyboard element to connect them. Alright, great. Similarly, let's go ahead and do the same thing for the UI view controller. Alright, this is going to be the Discover View controller for the search view. We use it to back the storyboard UI view controller. Alright. Our next UI view controller is the camera. So let's name the corresponding UI view controller class Camera View Controller. Then go to the identity inspector of the storyboard Camera View Controller. Alright. Okay, the next one is Activity. Similarly, we name this new Cocoa Touch class Activity View Controller, and then use it to back the storyboard Activity UI View Controller. As we mentioned before, laying out everything before getting into detailed stuff is a good way to see things as a big picture. Finally, the last one is the user profile. We named the corresponding Cocoa Touch class profile ViewController, but you can name it as you like. And don't forget to make it a subclass of the UI ViewController class. Alright, the nightmare is almost over. Alright. By the way, we recommend you to test the app before moving on. Alright, we can now customize the UI ViewController the way we like. You can see that each UI ViewController has a top and bottom layout guide to help us with the layout stuff, and a view. This is where we put our content on. We can customize this view via the view property of this UI ViewController class. For example, to fully test our tab bar controller, we'll color each of the 5 views differently. Then see what happens when we touch the tab bar items. So for the home ViewController, let's change the view color. We do this by overriding the viewDidLoad method, which is called only once during the lifetime of this ViewController. So we don't have to set this color again and again each time we switch back and forth between the views. We first need to access the storyboard view we mentioned before, via the new property of this class. Kind of like everything we do to this instance property will apply to the storyboard view. Our task is to set a background color to this view. It has a property specifically for us to do this, called background color. Alright. As we're setting colors for a UI object, it's appropriate to use an UI color object for the color data. Providing colored data to UI objects is in fact the most common use of this UI color object. But there's a programmatic reason for using UI color in this case. Alright, we use predefined colors from the UI kit library because it really doesn't matter what colors we use now. Alright, good. When the app runs, we expect that when the home tab bar item is active, the home UI ViewController with a black background color will show up. Alright, fantastic. By the way, the other UI ViewControllers do show up when it's active. We just need to make that clear. So in the Discovery ViewController class, let's set the background property of the view to some non-white color. So get the view property, set its background color property to some UI color, let's say blue. Alright, great. Now, to make the code look compact, you can even delete the UI color keyword. Xcode is smart enough to know this is a blue UI color object. The reason is if you hold Option and click the background color property of view, you can see that it's of type optional UI color. So Xcode can infer the right-hand side type from the left-hand side type of the assignment. This is also the programmatic reason for using UI color objects in this case, as we mentioned without explaining in the home ViewController. Basically, in an assignment, the type must match up. By the way, don't forget the dot right before the blue keyword. Okay, when the app runs, we expect that the Discover UI ViewController with a blue background will show up when the Discover tab bar item is active. Alright, great. Let's do the same thing to the rest. This is the Camera ViewController. Again, we perform this task in the viewDidLoad method, so that it's only done once when the view is loaded into the memory. And it won't be called again and again and again when we switch the views back and forth. Okay. The next one is activity. In the viewDidLoad method, get the view property and set its background to say yellow. And finally, the profile ViewController. By the way, this is not the only way to test out the tab bar controller. We utilize this opportunity to demonstrate how we customize a storyboard UI ViewController using the backing UI ViewController class. Alright, if we need to know what predefined colors Xcode has, we can use the UI color keyword explicitly to see the suggestions, then delete it if you want your code to look compact. Okay, good. Let's check it out. Note that we're letting the tab bar controller the initial ViewController for easy testing. Alright, but that's not what we want eventually. Okay, here's the app. We now clearly see that when a tab bar item is active, the corresponding UI ViewController shows up. Alright, great. Before ending the lecture, let's do an important task. Recall that eventually we would want the app to display the login view first instead of the home view. So we make the login ViewController the initial ViewController, then establish a connection to the tab bar controller. Like when users tab the login button, the app will switch to the home view. To do so, select the login button, hold Control, and drag to the tab bar controller. This will establish an action Segue to present the tab bar views. Alright, let's choose a present modally Segue. This means we use the login ViewController to present those ViewControllers. Usually, we will use buttons to trigger actions. In this case, we let the app switch from the login to the tab bar views after users touch the login button. Okay, here it is. Let's click the login button. Alright, perfect. Pretty smooth, right? Now, similarly, let's establish a Segue to switch from the sign up view to the tab bar views. Select the sign up button, hold Control, and drag it to the tab bar controller. Then choose the present modally Segue. By the way, notice that the app currently doesn't know how to switch back from the tab bar views to the sign in and sign up views. It's not important now, and we'll do that later. Alright, let's check it out. Fantastic. By the way, right now the home ViewController shows up first. Note that currently we don't know how to switch back to the sign in and sign up views, but let's worry about that later. Next time, we'll customize this tab bar controller further. See you then!